Joining us are Professor Kobi Michael, Senior Researcher at the INSS and Misgav Institute, and Dr. Eric Mandel, Founder and Director of the Middle East Political and Information Network. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Professor Michael, let's start with you. What do you make of the cabinet decision to take over Gaza City? Is it enough to achieve the war goals? I mean, it certainly does fall short of a full occupation of Gaza.
I'm not sure that I understand till the end the essence or the substance of this decision that was made by the cabinet. It looks like a sort of a compromise between the original, I would say, view of the cabinet, the majority, including Prime Minister Netanyahu, and the view of the military echelon as represented by General Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir. And once again, I think that it is something in between. It's half coffee and half tea. And I'm not sure that this is something that eventually will improve the current situation that Israel finds itself in. As far as I understand, it looks like another trial of Prime Minister Netanyahu and the cabinet, at least the cabinet, to give another chance to the negotiation with us. The idea is to give Hamas leadership the sense of seriousness from the Israeli side, to bring them, I would say, to the point that they will make their call and will to negotiation, and Israel will be able to conclude the negotiation. And I remind everybody that we are talking about a partial agreement, not a final status agreement, okay? At least now. It will bring Israel to a better situation. Hamas come to the Israeli conditions or to the Israeli demands, which are, by the way, similar to the demands and the conditions that are made by the Americans, the Qatarians, and the Egyptians. If you are asking me personally, I'm not sure that Hamas will be convinced. I'm not sure that it will make a very big impression on Hamas. I think that Hamas feels that they are with the upper hand. They feel that their job is done by proxies, be it international media, generally speaking, be it European leaders, okay, international organizations. Everybody pressures Israel. Everybody pushes Israel to the corner. And they just have to sit and to wait until things will fall as a ripe fruit to their hands. So as I understand the situation currently, I'm really skeptical about the option that this decision will create a very significant change on the ground.
You make an interesting point that this could be simply another pressure tactic, hence the October 7th deadline. But I want to ask, if this does move ahead, I mean, what will this actually entail on the ground? You know, the IDF chief is said to oppose the move. Do you think this could potentially actually harm Israel's security long term? And as you mentioned, perhaps endanger the hostages and play into Hamas's hands, you know, becoming entangled in Gaza once again without a clear out? Professor Michael, what do you think?
I believe that the military is very capable to find the most militarily professional solution with regard to the idea of taking control over Gaza City, even without, entering and clashing directly with Hamas combatants there. This is a sole professional military issue. The problem is that as much as we are hesitating, and as much as we continue dancing the very bizarre, weird Yemeni dancing of one step forward and two steps backward, okay, then we expose ourselves to more pressures from the international community, from the international media, and even inside the Israeli society, okay? We have to be very determined, and we have to decide what do we want. What is our strategic path? And the responsibility to make this call is the responsibility of the elected government in this democracy. They have to make their call, and any call that they will make should be legitimate, even if they will decide to surrender, which means to accept the agreement based on the conditions that are made by Hamas, if they will reach the conclusion that the price will be lower than continue. Okay, when they are looking at the broadest, I would say, meaning of the term national security, and like in any democracy, in the election day, in the D-Day, the public will decide if they support this or not. The problem is that the political echelon of the government does not make a very determined and final call. This is the idea. This is exactly what they did now with the last decisions that they took about occupying or taking control over Gaza, over the 30% left in the Gaza Strip controlled by Hamas. Okay, and this is the things that I'm concerned about. Because I don't see that now we are making any substantial step forward when we have something like 2 months to prepare ourselves for taking over the Gaza City.
And Professor Michael, both you and Dr. Mandel sound very skeptical about this move, this supposed takeover of Gaza City. So I do want to ask, what does Israel need to do here? Because we really do seem to be at a sort of a standstill. Hamas clearly has rejected all of the hostage proposals, ceasefire proposals. It's not budging. So what does Israel need to do to win this war and to release the hostages?
Here I would like to distinguish between, I would say, two levels of the answer. The first level, which is the upper level, is, I would say, the more principal one, goes back to the idea of making finally the decision, choosing the preferred strategic path, and going with this path till the end, knowing what are the prices that must be paid in this regard, coming to the public bravely and to say, this is the situation, this was the less worst alternative that we could choose. We think that this is the best thing we could have reached, and these are going to be the prices, and now let's go forward. Because without making such a decision, nothing else will happen. The second level of the answer is what, in my personal opinion, okay, is the best alternative that Israel has in its hands, and I think that eventually Israel has been left with one alternative only, because I do not believe that we are facing the resumption of the negotiation, as I explained before. I do not believe that the gaps between Hamas and Israel are bridgeable, which means that even we will resume the negotiation, and we will reach even to an agreement about the release of 10 alive hostages and 18 dead hostages and 60-day ceasefire. We will not be able to bridge the gaps between both sides in 60 days, and we will find ourselves once again in a violent cycle, in a war against Hamas. Because Israel cannot end the war, according to my view, cannot end the war where Hamas is on its foot as an effective sovereign power or an effective organized military power in the Gaza Strip. And the third option that we have is to continue to do what we did in the last, I would say, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. I mean, to try to pressure Hamas militarily, but very limited pressure. And on the other hand, to make the efforts in order to resume the negotiation. We saw to where we have reached with this alternative. So among the three alternatives that I see, I think that the only I would say valid alternative with regard to the realization of the objectives of the war that were declared by the government of Israel is to occupy the entire Gaza Strip, to dismantle Hamas, to establish a temporary military administration that will take care for the humanitarian aid, the supply of the humanitarian aid to the entire population of Gaza, and will prevent Hamas from reconstituting itself and will facilitate the conditions for the establishment of an alternative local governance that might be affiliated even to the Palestinian Authority, supported by a regional mission force that on a gradual manner, step by step, on a something like 2 to 3 years time process, they will get responsibility over territory and population until they will get the full responsibility over the entire Gaza Strip. The military administration will be dismantled. The IDF will be redeployed along the international border. And I hope that in this time, the Palestinian Authority in Ramallah will also go through a reform process, and maybe if it will succeed, they will be able to come back to the Gaza Strip in order to control it effectively. I don't see any other valid option unless we accept the idea that Hamas will remain in the Gaza Strip as the sovereign power.
Difficult decisions for Israel in the coming days and weeks and months. Thank you both so much for joining us today and for your analyses.